I am so in love. This is the feeling that you feel when you see your baby for the first time. The joy and love gives you a feeling like you can take on the world. The ride home is full of ups and downs. You're scared, not for lack of love, but for lack of knowing. Will I be a good mother or father? Will I make mistakes? Will I be supported by my partner? A marriage is a trial of life together. One, if willing, can be a lifetime of happiness. Many couples will fail from the stress, from the ups and downs. At the end of the day, we should be able to admit our wrong. We should be able to suck it up and say those 3 little words that are so hard to say. I am sorry, or I was wrong. A new baby is a blessing. At the same time, it's a test for any marriage. Mothers and fathers go through a number of stressors when bringing home a baby. When you are mad and you just want to yell at your husband because you feel ugly, you're exhausted, you feel alone. Learning steps to deal with stress will help you get through it together. It will help you become a better person, a stronger couple. What are some of these major stressors? Lifestyle adjustments, financial difficulties. For example, lifestyle adjustments. A few weeks ago, I went to get my nails done at the nail salon. I had my 8-year-old, and at the time, my 8-week-old. People looked at me like I was crazy. I had an 8-year-old running around the nail salon. I had an 8-week-old crying because she wanted a bottle. I had to sit back and realize for a minute, it's okay. Babies cry, kids scream. I sat back and told myself, and had to laugh. I wouldn't change this for anything in the world. These are my babies. These are my children, and I love them. Financial difficulties. This is a huge stress on a marriage. For example, usually one person in a marriage handles the finances. And they don't learn to ask for help. They don't learn to share. And when you try to take it all on yourself, you become stressed. Planning for diapers and bottles and daycare. These are huge expenses that you didn't have before the baby. I've worked in finance for over 13 years, and yet I still don't know how to budget for a baby. It's funny because people say, I don't want to have a baby, I can't afford it. You're never going to be able to afford to have a baby unless you just win the lottery. When you identify the major stresses a baby brings to your marriage, the next most important step is to figure out the best way to get through it as a couple. Our children know when we are happy, and they know when we are sad. I truly believe a happy marriage makes for happy babies. Working full-time, going to school full-time, and raising children is hard on me. I tend to take things on myself. I get mad when my husband doesn't want to help. In general, women tend to want to do things themselves because we're the only ones that know how to do it right. We have to give up and say, we're not super mom. We have to get to that point. We have to ask for help. Most men just need to hear those words, help. How can couples get through these times? Spend time with each other. This should speak for itself. Remember who you are and why you fell in love. Find time to talk. Find a day to go to dinner or a movie. We can find time to watch our favorite television show. We can find the same time for our spouse. Over 60% of couples have a very dramatic change in their sex life after having a baby. This is a major stress from experience. You just don't feel pretty. You feel fat. And it's hard to go from there when you feel fat and you feel ugly. Just breathe and remember the miracle and the joy you both had when you found out you were having a baby. Stress is overwhelming, but you have to sit back. You have to remember the joy, and it's worth everything that caused that stress in the first place. You have to remember when you met your spouse and you fell in love, when you heard that first heartbeat. This was a new love. Life is what we make it, and sometimes it's worth saying you were wrong, even when you didn't feel you were. Marriage is about change, and it's made of good and bad. When we can accept our partners for their faults and admit our own, I think a marriage could be much stronger. When a woman holds her children in higher regard than she does her husband, she is giving them an exaggerated sense of their own self-worth. This quote reminds us to love our children, but to not forget our spouse. When our children grow up and they move out, our spouse is the only thing we have left. The love our children see from their parents follow them as adults. Is there a perfect marriage? Absolutely not. There's no such thing as perfect. But it's worth the fight. Stress will cause conflict, but the love you have can bring the peace. A quote by Barnett R. Bruckner says, "Success in a marriage does not come merely from being the right mate, but through finding the right mate."